Good morning, Norway. I'm at the train station in Ranheim. I take a train from here often so that I can get to Stjørdal. Once I'm there, I take an intercity bus to Selby. So here at the station, I take a train that goes to Steinkjer. I take this one. This train goes to Steinkjer, but it stops in Stjørdal. And that's where I take a bus to Selbu. Selbu is a community, a municipality, or is it a village? It's not a village, but it's very small. 4,000 something people live in Selbu. I don't have a car, so I have to take a train from here and then take a bus to Selbu. I have to wait here for about a half hour and then take the train. This train is going to get me to Stjørdal. In Stjørdal, or Stjørdal, as some people say, I wait about a half hour, 35 minutes. I wait there, and then I take a bus to Selbu. It is a horrific commute. Why is it horrific? Because I leave my house 2 hours before I finally get to my job. Why don't you get a job closer to home? Because of structural and systemic racism in Norway, where the laws are made so that people who come from South America, Asia, not all of Asia, but some parts of Asia and Africa, people who come from these places and have education from those three places, who are, coincidentally or not, black and brown people and people of color, they don't get access to the same type of jobs as other people here. What do? They deem your education not good enough for you to be in the workforce. So you have a couple of options. You can get your education again. For instance, if you have a master's degree from a different country, you can do your master's degree again here, or you can do your bachelor's again if that's what you had from before. Faced with that possibility, I said, oh, hell to the no. And the reason why I said that is simple. My parents invested a lot of money both on my education and my brother's education. So here's what they paid for. They paid for the best private schools in Brazil for us. We both went to private schools. They paid for us to study abroad. My brother studied in England, and I studied in the United States. They paid for us to travel to many different places for us to get a global education. So we've been to most states in Brazil, several states in the United States. In my case, I've been to New Zealand, where I was from 1995 to 1996. I got my master's degree in Australia, where I was between 1997 and 1999. I've traveled always with valid visas, always abiding by the law, and that's something that I learned from my parents. So I have a global education. My bachelor's is from Brazil, my high school diploma is from the United States of America, and my master's degree is from Australia. because I studied in Brazil, and that's in South America, lots of brown and black people there. So they deemed my education partially good, but not completely. So they gave me some recognition, but not all of it. So I get paid less than a Norwegian person. And I usually, when I have to compete with a Norwegian person, even if that Norwegian person has fewer qualifications than I have, they will still be the ones to get the jobs. So that's why I don't work closer to home. Is it wrong for them to protect the jobs for the Norwegian citizens? Is it wrong? Are they doing anything wrong by trying to make sure that the locals, that the people of this country, the people who are from here, who were born here, who have 100% European ethnic background, are they wrong for wanting them to have the jobs in their own country? I can't blame them for that, but then I can also say that I cannot deny my reality. I'm not Norwegian. I'm not even Norwegian passing, so I can't get the same jobs that other people do. So it is very annoying to be constantly having to explain this to people, and for people to pester me every single time they talk to me. Okay, hi, thank you for coming in. Welcome. Constantly an issue for conversation. So how's the bus trip here? Is it still okay? Is it okay for you to take the bus here? What am I going to do? I don't have a car. I can't afford a car. I will never be able to afford a car here. Why do we need to talk about this every time we talk? Ask me about something else. You know what I mean? So people are always asking, oh, the bus, are there many people taking the bus? Like 10, 12 people? No, it's more like a handful. And sometimes I am the only one. So I have to take this bus in the morning to make sure that it continues to run. I depend on it for me to have that job. So people are very insensitive with the questions they ask, with the suggestions they make. A lot of it is not part of having some sort of bias or anything. Well, in a way, I guess. They're not educated in the same aspects of life. And the education that you get through living a situation is very different from the education you get from watching other people do things, right? So I have always lived as a black person. I have always been discriminated. I was discriminated in every single country where I was. That is a part of my life, unfortunately. So I know how that feels. And people here in Norway, everybody makes a lot of money. And by everybody, I mean if you're Norwegian or Norwegian passing or Norwegian adjacent, which is the case for a lot of people from Holland, from Germany, from Denmark living here. They make more money than me. They have a better situation than mine. So they don't understand that when they say to me, oh, no, all you have to do is, it's just like 1,000 kroner note. It's not that much money. You take out a 1,000 kroner note and you buy it. And I'm like, do I look like somebody that has 1,000 kroner to just blow on something? Like I really, it's very insensitive, especially when people are like, oh, just buy it and I'll pay you back later, or buy this for the company and the company will reimburse you later. I do not have the money to buy it. I have the money to pay for my bills, help my daughter to the best of my ability. She will soon have to get a job because I won't be able to support her financially fully at some point. But what happens is people just assume things about you in a worst possible way. It's very insensitive. Why don't you buy a car? I have never heard something so insensitive. You're watching a person who's struggling, a person who's saying to you every chance they get that they make less money than their Norwegian counterparts, that they have a lot of credit card debts and they have a lot of bills to pay, that they have an apartment in Brazil for them to pay the bills for as well. There's maintenance fees. The apartment's paid for. My dad bought that apartment. He worked as an engineer after a higher education at the university in Rio de Janeiro. My mom was also an educator. So like I have my house in Brazil. I have to pay for it. I have to pay for the maintenance fees. I have a lot of bills to pay. So where would I get the money to buy a car? And some people go as far as to say, teachers can afford cars. I've seen the other teachers have cars. All the other why are people comparing me to all the other teachers? You know, it's so annoying. I think this comes I'm going to say that this is more annoying than people expecting me to think that this is hot, that this is summer. Look at this. 8 degrees Celsius. And it's ridiculous for people, for me, when people call this summer. But they do. And they expect me to be like, oh, it's warm. And then they have this, I don't know if it's denial. I don't know what kind of feeling that is that makes them say things like, oh, they look at the weather forecast. Oh, it's about to be like the hottest it has ever been in Norway. There's a heat wave coming. Every year I hear the same things. I have yet to see this heat wave. So I'm here at the train station in Ranheim, and I'm going to Stjørdal to take the train to Selbu, where I work. I'm very grateful for the job that I have. I've been there for 7 years. It is the first time in the history of my life here that I have had a steady job, like a permanent position anywhere. Many schools used me as a substitute for a couple of years here, a year here, a year there, a year where I would be invited to fill out an application to continue, but they knew deep down inside that they weren't going to give me the job. So somebody who's Norwegian adjacent is always going to get that job. And is it wrong? I don't know if it's wrong or if it's right. That's just how it is. And I can either accept it and keep moving on, or I can start protesting and then not have any opportunities anywhere. So I'm holding on to dear life at this job. And there have been people trying to get me fired. There have been people trying to delegitimize my experiences, but I'm standing strong. I have, God knows how long I have to live. God only knows. My dad died at 59, so if I'm going to live as long as my dad, I have about 6 years. If I'm going to live as long as my mom, then I have about 23, 24 years to live. And I would like to live the very last few years of my life somewhere warm, somewhere where when it's summer, it's never going to look like this. It's never going to feel like this. It's very cold right now. It's like 14 degrees. And I'm not going to invade anyone's privacy by getting close to them or anything, but I am going to show you what people are wearing. So if it's summer and if it's so hot, why are people wearing jackets? I'm not going to get close to them or anything, but see, everyone's wearing jackets. Everyone is wearing long pants and jackets. So homegirl even has her hoodie up. So it's cold. Don't try to push me into saying, oh, it is so warm. It is so, it's summer. Oh, God. When I first arrived here, I remember my mother-in-law would sit in the veranda, like a balcony type of thing that they had at the apartment in Soapstad. When it was like this and it was like 12 degrees, she'd sit out there. She would sit out there in a t-shirt and she would say to me, yeah, we can continue this conversation later. I'm going to sit out there and have my tea outside. I have to enjoy the summer. And I was like, it's super, I was shocked by that. But now I see that that's how most people behave because it's their summer. This is their summer. So she would sit outside, and it was too cold for me to sit outside, let alone in t-shirts. So I'm wearing a jacket, but the people around me here are also wearing jackets. So it can't be hot, right? Linguistically, I can also understand what the problem is with them saying hot. I reckon it's because they only have the word varmt, which is the same for warm and hot. So they don't know how to distinguish. They will say that it's hot when they mean just it's warmer. And it's really cute when people try to convince me that it does get hot here. Oh, I had some friends of mine that came to Norway a couple of years ago when it was really hot in the summer. It was 30 degrees and they were almost dying. It was so hot. And I'm like, let's be honest. Out of 90 days of the summer, this is what it looks like. And it also rains a lot, which makes it more miserable. There are only a few days when it's warmer than this, and you never have like a constant 3-4 week period where it's 35 degrees. It's never 35 degrees, let's get it straight. And that's what life in Norway is like. I hope I live long enough to retire so that I don't have to spend as much time as I spend here now. I really do.